This is the after chapter discussion for 9.60. I'm hosting Mr. Wiggles, and I'll be co-hosting with Asteria.
I like how you said
So
you were hosting and then you remembered me. Yes, I'm here too.
I didn't know how to state it. Okay, I was thinking it through as I was speaking, and that never
So
works
you
well.
you
All right,
you were telling everyone else to be prepared, but you yourself had not been preparing.
exactly.
Wow.
You got it. Anyways, let's start it out with just everyone's general impressions of the chapter. And we have a couple questions, or
Well, did you
couple.
say what chapter we're talking about?
Yeah, I started this out by saying 9.60 after chapter discussion. Anyways, general impressions, favorite things, favorite scene, things you liked, things you weren't sure about, anything like that. And I guess I'll just start. I thought this was an excellent chapter, a 9 out of 10 for me. In particular, my two favorite scenes were the will. I really thought the will was well done, and also Heathen's dream scene at the very beginning. I thought that was just a very, very cool scene. I loved a lot of this chapter though. So, um, yeah, the one issue I had with it was probably the Marsh Rangers being introduced to the inn. I thought, we have a bunch of people we could have gone to see, the inn already. Introducing it through a new POV wasn't my favorite, but still, 9 out of 10 chapter. I really enjoyed it. All right, Asteria, do you have anything you want to? You have any general impressions?
Yeah, I was worried when I heard rumblings about this chapter and a certain small knoll running around mansions trying to get out. But I was actually really impressed with this chapter. It was something that needed to happen as we lead up to the solstice event. I would say standout for me has to be Perorn. Is that how we're pronouncing her name? The
Perorn,
centaur?
yeah, Perorn,
Yeah.
yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Perorn was the standout for this chapter. She's quickly moved to like one of my favorite characters, and I love that we finally have a character that is kind of exactly what Erin I think needs to kind of advance in her role as kind of this general but not general, dealing with the dead gods, and is able to kind of talk to her at a level that's maybe not where everyone else is just so blown away by, what she's done, what she's accomplished. Because Perorn grew up with legends, right? As we kind of got reminded of. So that for me was the standout about this chapter, and it was just really good. All right,
Yeah.
so yeah, did you have any other thoughts, Wiggles?
No, I was just gonna agree with you that it was a great chapter. Perorn was amazing.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Highlight for me. And we can get into other stuff with the questions, but let's see, Mr. Europe, you wanted to share your passion?
Yeah, I really like this chapter. It's obviously a setup chapter and stuff like that, but which has its like my some people don't like much, but I enjoyed it a lot. The uh, just all the different forces that have been slowly coming together, actually being there at the same time and starting to interact with each other and figuring out like how they're going to prepare for this huge thing that Part has been setting up for a long, long time now. And I thought it was done very well. My favorite part was definitely the writing of the will. Um, Very close to Major Corp, but the writing of the will, especially since it had the uh, I had a very like revelation moment when reading it that so why isn't Erin writing anything for Bird or Numtongue? Oh, she expects that they're definitely going to be dead before she is during the solstice, and just it was very just well put together, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Same feeling here. Will was my favorite scene because it was very emotional to see that Erin is, you know, actually prepared to die this time, and she's going into it fully expecting herself
make
to
it.
be a casualty. So yeah, it was just a very powerful scene.
Were you kind of surprised that she didn't mention her parents, or did you just assume that that was in the garden?
Oh,
I'm assuming that's what the crossed out. If I'm dead, then tell my, and it's crossed out. I assume that was going to be like for her parents or something.
yeah,
Wiggles, you were
she
saying?
did leave. She did leave an extra note in the garden. So her final words. So if she would mention her parents somewhere, because this is a will, and it's really difficult to get any material goods to her parents at this point in time. So I wouldn't expect her to give anything to them, but her final words definitely, I think, would mention her parents.
Makes sense. Well,
All right.
Cerberus disagrees with you, Mr. Wiggles. They said they actually liked the Marsh Rangers' point of view, contrasted a lot with Perorn's entrance later, the normal soldiers being a bit chill and wanting to have a little bit of fun, while Perorn just enters and roasts everyone. Action Kermit agrees that they liked how Perorn reminded Aaron about how glory is both the bright light and the long shadow it casts. There were so many great lines in this
Oh, there's one. Hold on.
chapter.
Oh, keep talking.
No, yeah, you find it, but just there were really a couple lines around the will scene, the conversation with Perorn, where I'm just like, damn, like it's only ever so often that an author just has these lines that you're like, this is gonna stay with me. This is like a standout from the series. And this chapter, like, yeah,
it was
it had a
great.
couple of them.
Especially here, this is like right after the will, when she's like saying immortal moment, let it count, please. I love that. But at the very end of that section, it says she still felt warm, but the cold winter was growing deeper, and she knew death was neither cold nor warm. Sometimes she wondered if she'd ever woken up, or if this was all a dream. Like that was just a very powerful line. I loved it.
That sent chills, but there was another one that you actually posted and screenshotted earlier that I think Perorn said about glory. Do you remember that one?
I didn't send anything, but let me look for it.
That's the one I'm thinking of that I think Action Kermit's also referring to.
I think I got it. Here, let me just post it in chat if you want to read it or look at it.
Yeah, as kind of people gather their last thoughts.
Here, while people are thinking, we did miss two people at the beginning.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sidehammer, you wanted to speak?
Thank you. First of all, just congrats to Pirate for writing this awesome chapter back. It was great. Also, congrats on finishing Hunt Song. That was awesome. But I really this was a very welcome chapter. Great to come back to one, such a nice long chapter. Get right back in the swing of things. It was just as I love, just as much. It was just what I love about the Wandering Inn, and it was scary and sad in some places, and Perrin was a nice little addition. Though I'm scared for her going forward, and it's really just great to be back, and I I think one of my favorite scenes in it was Mercer's escape attempts. They were quite great, but as soon as they were trapped in the Reinhardt estate, I started to think that little Mercer might have an encounter with the mean ghost, and I think the mean ghost might lose out. But maybe we could say that for later. Thank you.
Well,
It's great.
Kanaeus agrees. Oh, sorry, Wiggles, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, great, you enjoyed it. Go ahead.
Kanaeus said they agree with you that another highlight for them was that Mishra, her escape times leading later to her saying that she didn't want to be small and useless was another standout scene. And I think you really enjoyed that too, Wiggles.
Oh yeah, it was. It was really great to see that from Marcia, but there was just so many strong scenes here that it was like top 5, but it wasn't top 1 or 2, you know?
All right, Edgeron, you're next.
Yes, I can also quite agree. 9 out of 10 chapter, just awesome. As well, stand out the will. It literally sent shivers down my spine listening to it or reading it. The implications. Aaron also, I mean, so far, Aaron wasn't that often in like really, really mortal danger, at least deliberate. I mean, she went down to the crypt in volume 1. She fought Skinner, the moth attacks, but all of that is like it's hard for me to find the words that this woman is now prepared to literally face death for what she believes in, for her friends, for the responsibility she has. She has the possibility to run, but she says no, I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna fight. And that it struck home for me that at this point she really is part of this world, not just for she's thrown in there and has to like survive and do her thing, grow up. No, she right now it's a point where she is just staying there for her own sake, and that really was awesome for me. That will was it was the message for that. And what I also liked, it's maybe it's flew above many people, but I always love like tidbits like this. The monster that you see that knows of you when you know of it. I love shit like this. It's even if it never brought up again, it's makes this world more dangerous, more lived in when you have myths and dangers like this. And that's Nias just said, yeah, don't come to Belarus, and he took a sip of a drink and then took a sip of water, and it's I love little lore drops like this. More of that, please. And it was for me a standout scene. I don't know why it was so amazing for me, but I really liked it.
I agree with you. The little hints and nods and like teasers about lore, as well as nods to like other relationships that we've seen established, like the whole Salas putting Chaldeon's cigar out with water water glass. Was great. Man, poor Chaldeon though. Not long for this world. Unless like someone's screwing with him somehow. But we can talk about that. Wiggles, do you want to read out the last few reactions?
Sure. Okay, so actually, oh wait, no, we missed one person still. Razor Shark, you wanted to speak.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Because I wasn't
Yep.
able to hear everybody earlier.
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. So, by the way, real quick, it's like general impression, favorite scenes, things you like, things you weren't sure about. Is that like, are those like all separate things, or is that all under general impressions?
It's all under general impressions. If you want, you don't have to answer all of it. You can just say you're in general impression or answer one of those things.
Okay. So, for my favorite scene in the story, I would like to say first, there's notes at the end. Because yeah, I think Loki it has survived. Just hearing Pirate say, and then no more monthly polls for the rest of this until we're done. It speaks to me like really hype. Like now I stood there and I reached the end and I read that and I was like, oh my lord, oh my stars, we're in the end game now. And I thought that was amazing. But like for things that actually happened in the chapter, I think it's Aaron telling people, trying to get them to like understand how serious it is when she uses her hat with the black flame and everything to convey like the hatred and the emotion behind like how serious this opponent that they're facing is, to try to get everybody to actually like truly understand. Because going into the chapter, that's one of the things that I expected Aaron to have the most trouble in because she sucks at explaining things to people. So I think that was well done. 9 out of 10 chapter overall. Man, things I didn't like is a very hard thing to measure. Hmm, I think it would have to be like the Marsh Rangers. I agree. The Marsh Ranger like added POV was kind of weird. I wish we had gotten a POV of Chaldean instead of them. You're not in his head. But I like the chapter overall. It was one of my favorites of Volume 9 so far. I think so. Even though it's like a setup chapter and not much is truly pushed forward, just getting this kind of like setup for everything that's happening is very intriguing. And I love the vibe that is like permeates throughout the entire chapter. Like even though like Pirate I feel like it was a little bit on the nose with like and everything is dreary, how they evoked it in other ways is like I think very well done.
You make an excellent point about how Pirate Abbas said, there are no more polls for this volume, and that really is a big push forward. That's like, okay, yeah, everything is set up. This is the end of the volume. These are all chapters that are happening.
Well, counterpoint, they said that they were still setting things up, but this is the only storyline we're looking at.
Yes, it's all going to be related to the end of the volume, is what I should say. But yeah, you know what I mean. Anyways,
I think the solstice is like a day, right? I'm not.
Two
days.
days.
Yeah, 2 days.
2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron's dragging it out by using Immortal Moment as much as she can.
Which is very interesting use of that, since she's been very sparing with it in the past normally, but now she's just trying to use it as much as she can.
What was the price thing that she was talking about paying? She was worried about the price, that it would cost something.
All the dead people. I think for me, I think it's very interesting her using the Immortal Moment more, but I think that's more general, just a general impression that like she was an idiot before, not an idiot, but like an idiot, and she just wasn't testing her skills at all. So you just kind of got a little moment so early in the story they just did absolutely nothing with it. She was like, man, roll. You just think skills. She was stopping in the middle of a party. That's what I'm going to do. You would have been heavily trying it out. And then now everybody's on is like, hey, Aaron, you ain't some really powerful skills, Might use them a little bit, know what I'm saying? Might help out.
Oh, Razor Shark, you're breaking up a little bit. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
I think
so yeah. Go ahead, Razor Shark.
I was trying to figure out what you heard from what I said.
We heard lots of excited talk.
Yeah, it sounds like your mic is peaking when you speak too loudly, so it's like coming in jumbled, kind of. But we could hear most of it.
All right. I think it was
very
13. Thanks.
No, really enjoy hearing your take, and it's great to see people getting so excited about this chapter, especially as sort of Mystical Pie is stating, right? This chapter has an immaculate kind of frantic vibe. It feels like we've gotten to the point of the roller coaster that's slowly ratcheting up the incline. There's been tension building for a while, but the drop is actually imminent, and I would fully agree with that statement. And just to kind of reply back to a couple people not liking the otter fighters, I forget the exact name, the Otterham fighters. I think the point of their point of view was to have somebody new coming to the inn, seeing it for the first time, but, against expectations, it's filled with all these soldiers. And it's to try and establish, like, hey, things are different. Something's off. And that, I think, is what Pirate was going for. Maybe it didn't land 100%. But I think that was try and segue right away from the kids and into more of this scene and this meeting with Aaron.
Yeah, see, the thing is just that, one of my issues with it is that we had other characters we could have done that with, we could have done it with the Vaunt guy, Gershal, or I forget his name. I forgot how to say his name, but
cheese guy.
we could have done with Cheese Man. He's an established character that we could have seen it from. But anyways, let's not harp on too much about that. Let's just get through these impressions. Action Kermit says, a little off topic, but I wanted to say that Pirate's recent interview was really good and I watched it twice. Oh yeah. It has, I think, 12,000, 13,000 views right now. So a lot of people liked it.
Yeah, go watch it if you haven't.
Love Blue says, overall liked the chapter. I like how Porn immediately started getting people to work in a somewhat cohesive way by dividing the forces that could work well together. Really shows off that she's a competent commander, and it's a skill that probably comes with working with different companies in Belarus and manages to weave world building with character building, in my opinion. Very good point, Wolfu. Asteria, stop laughing at me. 50 Fitty. 50 Fitty said, I thought the chapter was great. I was not happy to see that people can break into Gardens of Sanctuary. I wonder who's going to be sneaking in. Oh yeah, that was a very big reveal that sufficiently high.
No, that's been hinted at before.
Oh yeah, we've seen that you could like physically break in. You could.
There was speculation that a high-level rogue could break into the Garden of Sanctuary. Like that's been talked about, and Aaron was sworn to protect against that, and she never did.
Yeah. It is still the first time we've seen it actually happen, which is cool.
Just as an aside, like you're lucky Lynette was not here.
Listen, I said it in a way that kind of mushed it all together. Okay, we'll get past it. We'll get past.
I love so much about the Wandering Inn, but there are times where I don't think the naming is quite thought through.
It's hard. It's hard to say some. Well, I'm sure we're not going to get into this. Mystical Pie says this chapter had an immaculate, frantic vibe. It feels like we've gotten to the part of the roller coaster.
I already read that one.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yes.
Sorry. Anyways, Almighty Nub says the Marsh Ranger POV landed for me. Also with the garden, the Drake picked up the lock, but Aaron also detected it immediately. So I don't know about sneaking in. Well, at the same time, I don't think Corp was trying to be sneaky about staying in the garden unnoticed. I think he broke in and didn't try to hide himself or anything like that. So maybe he could have hid. Asteria, can you pick the next question? I have the AFK for 1 second.
Yep. All right, guys. We're going to pick a fun one. Let's start at the beginning of the chapter. I think this one's a fairly quick one, but I think this is good for maybe readers who kind of missed it. So let's start at the beginning. Good place to start. So the first question is, why can this not post? Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. Who was talking to Heathen in his dream? So I believe it was whatever is connected to that forest. I think the unicorn guards or the dryad or something.
Yeah. So I think.
Welcome back, Mr. Wiggles.
Do you want me to answer?
Sure.
What? Why are you laughing at me? Okay. Anyways,
you just came out of nowhere.
I'm trying to be your co-host.
I appreciate it. You're an excellent co-host.
I definitely think it's the seed that was in is currently in
it's dead.
Ryoko's Ron. It's definitely the seed that was talking to him, and it's like.
But it said we.
Yeah, I know it says we, but
you think it's like feel twin dryads in the seed? It's like little twin dryads we're gonna get.
More like the seed is basically the start of a great forest. If you plant that seed and you nurture it, it can become a great forest. How about
multiple voices?
And it considers itself a we.
I think it's the trees that already exist in the forest, and it's their ancient spirits or whatever trying to revive the pack. The dryad seed is too young to have a voice.
Okay, well,
Right.
how about we let Sidehammer, unless you have any further thoughts. Do you have any other thoughts?
No,
Okay,
I'm good.
Sidehammer, why don't you go ahead? And Asteria, I got AFK for another minute, so.
Alrighty.
But yeah, go ahead, Sidehammer. Thank you.
Will do. So, I actually completely forgot that you didn't mean the Fae, and I'm like, oh yeah, who was it? So I do think he was talking to the seed or the I don't know, the embodiment of the seeds wanting to get, or whoever wants the seed to get planted. I think I'm not sure exactly who, but maybe the spirit of dryads long past, maybe dryads from, or other fey creatures from the fairy realm. But he was definitely getting some advice, and I'm kind of disappointed he didn't try to point. He didn't try to point anything out. It seems like this point that anything like that could be. I mean, it's obviously going to be the machina at the end of the story that helps fight off stuff. At least it feels that way to me.
That's a good point.
But it's just, how do you get Heathen from Magnolia's mansion to the Wandering Inn, or if he even needs to. Maybe it'll have something to do with Merce's luck powers. However, she managed to beat herself in the brain with a book earlier. That was hilarious. So it's just I'm not quite sure how A will get to B, but I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I do think it has something to do with the spirit of the ground of the life energy or the life force around the score. I think it has something to do with that.
All right.
That's it.
So we've got forests around Lesor. Mystical Pie says that it's definitely the dryads from the Veltris forest. 50/50 says that they thought it was him hearing the Fae. If you take a look at what was posted in the ACD live chat, though, there is a distinctive voice different from the Fae. Almighty Nub says might have been a royal. The dryad's not even born yet, and it's a royalty. I love it. 50/50 says, oh, and Heathen could see a huge forest, lending potentially more support to Wiggles' theory. Almighty said, Nub says, what if it was the Treants? They're still alive. That is a good point, but I think they're all currently in the ocean. But that actually, I like that theory. Mr. Europe says, someone intentionally planting a seed to get dryads is essentially IVF, which is more likely to result in twins. Just saying. And liking this twins theory. 2 for the price of 1 seed. Pat says they assumed it was the dead dryads inside of Kasinka since he was dreaming of her. Potentially, they were whatever the voice was, just trying to warn him of what coming. Edron, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I always had the theory, or it started with me, that not all people who die, that their spirits are going to the Deadlands, but some of them just stay in the world and in the like spirit of the tree, spirit of the forest, and that's what. To be honest, I always call them Hathon, not Heathen, but that's something else. That these are these are spirits that didn't cross over to the Deadlands and were devoured, but just stayed in world and have that he's seeing like uh, another, like, not Deadlands but something in between maybe, and that's what he's seeing, and that's what he's listening to. That's always have been my little theory.
I think that's a good theory. And yeah, it's definitely something to kind of keep in mind because it seems like a plot point that we're not going to see develop anytime soon. But
I'm
it's
not so,
interesting to go ahead.
I'm not so sure that we won't see it very soon. Maybe that I mean it's maybe a reason that all the children are right now at some point. As somebody else just said it. I think it was Sidehammer that we have Mirsha who wants to do something. We have Hethons. It's also been a long time coming. It's again Pirate playing the long game. The setup with his seeing things, and now we have him listening to things, and
Mm.
maybe it's all gonna come together and gonna be a big help against the fight in the fight.
I mean, that's
I
kind of
think.
an interesting theory. The idea with like new life combating the goddess of death, particularly long
Mhm.
life, like dryads. I could see that kind of coming into play a little bit earlier to deal with
And
Kasingal, whatever her name is.
there is a dryad right next to him, in the mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a reason why they all are together. And it's again like if it really happens, it's just like Pyro to set all this up like ages ago and and spring that on us.
Yeah, we'll sort of have to see how it plays out.
Hmm.
Pat said that they assumed it was the dead dryads inside of Kasinga, the one who were talking, since he then was dreaming of her. And then the quote is right: "She is returned, blank S of death, ruler of Kasingal, the cruel one, without mercy, without the justice nor vengeance. She who holds us all, 3 in 1, no armies stand before her, son of House Feltris. She who holds us all is the part that specifically made them think about the fact that maybe it's the dryads that are been eaten up by the goddess. Almighty Nub says the voice was talking about the old Velch's pacts and his oath. They feel like the treants could have been the ones that were overseeing and protectors of the pact between people and lands. And then sort of says, aren't they still playing guardian-like role while they're in the oceans? Yeah, another vote in support of that. I would agree. Wiggles, you don't have to ping me that you're back. You can just start talking.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt anyone. So,
Oh,
anyways, I think.
move
Oh
on.
well, Mr. Europe has one final comment, and then we'll move on to the next question. Mr. Europe says it might just be the old spirits of land, like Old Man River, who woke up and started crying from dryads dying. Yeah, I think it could be the forest, basically. I think it's the Veltrus forest, the Vale Forest, or whatever it's called. I think it's Vale Forest. But yeah, I think it's the forest and the seed itself. Anyways, Razor Shark has one final comment. Razor Shark, go ahead.
And just pick the
Okay.
next question in the meantime.
So this is like very out there because I was reading this. And one of the things I've noticed is that there are some species that they talk about like oaths, right? They keep their oaths still even when they don't remember it, right? Fucking the Fae keep their oaths, the goblins keep their oaths. And for Veltros here, the way the Fae speak of the dead that are speaking to Heathen, they speak of them older. And while the Vale Forest is old, I don't think it would be so old for even to the Fae to be like shocked, absolutely flabbergasted that they're still alive. So I don't think the voice is the seed, nor do I think the voice is the forest itself, because the scene and passage also remarks on the fact that it's a bunch of tiny hands grabbing Ethan and pushing him up. It feels weirdly different than dryads or just the spirit of the forest because they're never truly represented in such a humanistic way or with hands and stuff like that. You would feel like if it was like the forest or something like that. I feel like pirate is very specific in those moments and would have probably described it as if he's being pulled to the top, as if something was weaving and grabbing him. The choice of saying hands were grabbing him and pulling him up, the choice of saying that something these people were dead. I don't think. No, I don't think the tiny hands were the thing pulling him up the nightmare. I think that was something different. So, right, I'm reading the scene right now. All right, let me just try to like react to what you're saying. Reactions. Like, but I'm kind of splitting my mind.
No, I think you've got the right of it, Razor Shark, and it'll be interesting to kind of see how that develops. So the next question from Mr. Wiggles is that it is almost confirmed that Kasinga will send something at Lasor. What will it be? Where will they come from? So we've already got 2 people immediately who want to comment on that. But just a couple last thoughts about the Fae and the Dryad, which apparently just got deleted from Almighty Nubs. Pat says the tiny hands are the Fae pulling him out of the nightmare, but they were there. Lovelu, you wanted to answer this question about what Kasinga is sending against the inn and Aaron and her allies?
Yeah, I have 2 theories. Because for one, I'm positive that Kasigna will personally try to go there to kill Aaron because she really wants to. But the 2 theories I have are either that she is taking all that death magic that's gotta be in the blood fields, and she's gonna like send an army of wraiths. That's probably why wraiths were introduced earlier. Is that she's probably like getting a lot of undead from the corpses and stuff and everything around the dead fields to go ahead and send an army there. And second, I think that she might be opening up the gates of hell. We do know that, like, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, there is a place that really evil, like horror rank class kind of people will go to. That's not the Deadlands. So they got to be somewhere, and it's possible that she's just going to throw them at the end. So those are my 2 theories: either Bloodfields Army or Hell Army.
That's the first time I think I've heard the Hellsteve theory. I like it. That's a good one because you're right. I don't even think she's eaten any of the ghosts there. She could have by now. It's possible that she's eaten a ghost, but it's interesting that we haven't heard anything about it. So it could be, that it could just be something that comes out of left field, basically. It's a good
Or it could
theory.
be the dungeon.
Yeah, that's my prime theory. Is definitely, it is definitely the dungeon and the Mother of Graves.
But I like the other thinking, because the dungeon maybe is a little. The dungeon's been so quiet for so long, but
Yeah,
I like the
we've
other
also-
ideas, Lovelu.
We've also seen with the dungeon that we just had Head Scratcher killed off this volume, but we also saw that the Mother Graves was like awake and waiting at the bottom of the dungeon. So I think we have had some setup that it could be the dungeon and the waves of endless, well, not endless, but the scaleless drakes.
Totally out there theory. You don't think that the dungeon was like a temple to the goddess of death when gods were still like worshipped?
No.
Because if you remember back in the dungeon chapters, like there were all those portents and pictures and stuff and references to like death and the mother of death, and people described it as like a temple, like.
Yeah, but see, I think that was a temple to the Mother of Graves. Like, I think they were not, they were elevating the Mother of Graves to that level rather than trying to worship Kasigna herself.
Okay.
That's my theory anyways. That's
yeah.
how
that would be kind of like a cool, like they're all looking around and it's like, nope, it's actually below your feet. And you've been sitting on a temple all this time. But Razor Sharks.
No, Mr. Europe first.
What?
Yeah, just to like bring together everything. There's except for absolute bullshit, like Casigna just bringing in like an undead Leviathan or teleporting in whatever from wherever. There's really 4 things. There's Casigna's own stuff, like unleashing her own ghosts or hell stuff or whatever. There's the blood fields, which obviously bunch of dead shit there. There's the dungeon, which is Mother of Graves, the flayed drakes, and the armored king. And there's whatever fuckery she can bring down from the high passes, which is an entire dead civilization of harpies and whatever else is up there. So those are like the four completely random bullshit we can't predict at all aside. Those are really the four things that she can bring up. The only other thing I could possibly think of is if she manages to raise that giant dead thing that the winter village was on, but that seems a bit just far away and not very relevant to this.
Yeah, it is pretty far. I think that's a dead giant, by the way, if I had to guess.
Probably.
Razor Shark says, is it possible the Hell domain is not in her domain? I don't think so. I'm pretty certain it's within her domain.
The only two that are outside it are the ants and the goblins, as far as we know.
Yeah.
I mean, the Deadlands are more in her domain, considering it's called Casignal, but that doesn't mean that Hellsignal.
That's true.
What Blue says, or that eating evil souls is bad for a god's diet, doesn't seem to be. Just like eating anything is enough to help them gain energy.
Mm-hmm.
Action Kermit says they think the dungeon was built around the ruins of a necromantic Drake city that buried itself to avoid artillery from Metzi?
Mercy.
Yeah, that's supposed to be Mercy. I misspelled it.
Okay. Head Satcher said that they knew the faith trick, so they probably had some kind of dark cult that supported their state-sanctioned beliefs. The dungeon, they think, was designed to keep the horrors of that city inside and keep outsiders from ignorantly unleashing what's inside, but the Mother of Graves subverted it. Edron.
Yes, when we talk about what is coming, I don't know why everybody is forgotten that she ate the souls of so many powerful beings in the Deadlands. And who's saying that she just can't put them into flesh puppets and send them after? I am pretty sure we're gonna see a zombie Zelshiver tail. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a zombie whatever else she ate in the Deadlands and will sick them after their old friends and allies. This is exactly. I mean, it's. I would love to see that at least. I mean, just because she ate the souls doesn't mean the souls are like dead and gone forever, but that she has now control over them. I mean, just imagine a zombie cell Silvertail aware of everything, but just has to do whatever Casigna wants and attacking his own people. And there are many other people that we met in the Deadlands and allies and legends that she ate. That would be a challenge for them, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Edoron, and that's part of the reason why I think Casigna re-enabled ghosts, basically.
Yep.
You know, the ghosts and wisps were just a week or so before the solstice, or they're the day after Christmas, which is I think exactly a week before. I don't know. Anyways, it was the day after Christmas, and so she sent out wisps and ghosts into the world, and I think that was just preparation for what she's going to part of what she's going to do during the solstice.
I'm getting it's like I don't know if anybody has seen or read Naruto, but it's the same thing. Bringing old people, old legends back to life and sicking them at the old people, at the still living people, and not knowing that even seeing these old legends will just give them more power and just give them closure and everything they're needed to like move on and get even stronger. She thinks it's a weakness or a strength to send loved ones after them, and for the defenders, it's just going to be a new source of power. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Edoron, for that. I think Next up is Razor Shark, and then we'll move on to the next question.
Bro, I saw the next question in that session, guys. I have a person in mind for that question specifically. I didn't know that was going to be a question. So, real quick. So, I want to say for this one, I think that I feel like Pirate's going to throw a curveball at us because one of the things we usually focus on for undead and what the army is focusing on for undead is just, physical undead skeleton zombies, ghouls, and stuff like that, which she most likely will do since Cassignio she likes armies, right? The 3-in-1 likes armies. But I think what we're not considering is the fact that she might have way more knowledge. Well, not might, she does have way more knowledge than Oscar and all the other ones. And she might just do way different forms of undead that they are not used to dealing with, like she did with the Wisp. Like, one of the problems with the Wisp wasn't that they were strong, it's that people just didn't know what they were and how to deal with them. I feel like they're going to get that too. I think the thing with souls, and what I think would be interesting if we saw Zell Sugartail again, I kind of think if Pirate does that, it'd be just bad. Like, just entirely. We've seen Zell Sugartail die. We've seen him in the Deadlands again. We've seen the General of Liscor multiple times by now. Like I understand it'd be beating a dead horse, and it just keeps lessening the impact of his actual death. Like, he's one of the few characters that have died permanently dead in this story, and then got his soul eaten. Like, just seeing him again, like, wouldn't be like the best, I think. And even then, they're not that strong in the grand scheme of thing of all the souls that she took. So I'm not sure if that would happen. It'd be kind of interesting, and I'd be down to see how Pirate pull it off. I want to see that out. That'd be interesting. I also don't actually think that the Hell Domain is in her direct control at all. I think that the Hell Domain, as we believe it, is something separate from the Deadlands. Because look at how Cassino, look at how she derives the Deadlands. There are multiple people there who've committed crimes. It's not just about punishment. So when people get there, it's this neutral place. 3-in-1 is not just death, she is a neutral death. She doesn't judge people when they die for justice or for vengeance. So I think whatever people do to their souls to get them sent elsewhere is far outside of her repertoire. Maybe she can exert control over it, like how other gods may be able to exert control over it, but I think it is beyond her domain. Just fully. I think she just it does not have she just doesn't extend her purview through that. That's my main thing.
It could be true. Also, to your point about Zell, I don't think Pirate will use Zell in particular or accessories. They might, as ghosts, I should say. I don't think they'll send those two ghosts through Casigna, since I just don't think that'll happen. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Thank you, Razor Shark. We should move on to the next question. Now, let me just read these replies if there's anything else. Oh, Almighty Nub says, if Casigna is sending ghosts from the Deadlands at them, how about we see some undead dragons? Yeah, that it could get really scary if she starts sending a ton of ghosts, because there are literally billions of ghosts that she's consumed. Yeah, I think that's it for this question. Next question up is, of the people present in Liscor, are there any that are likely to betray Aaron's side? Will Casigna / Kawine offer someone a deal?
And this, yeah, have to imagine it's got to be a named character. It's not going to be just some Joe Schmo.
Yeah, if someone betrays them, I definitely agree with you. It's going to be a major named character, and I do think, like Mr. Europe says, Chaldean is the obvious answer, but I think he's just going to die. I don't know about Chaldean dying, but I do think Chaldean is the obvious answer of someone who would betray them.
I mean, he's terrified of death, but he's done so much to protect Salas and Onivia, kind of.
Yeah, but because he's terrified of death, once he sees that it's like death itself coming from them, he might do the calculus and say, okay, being on her side makes more sense.
I don't think he's the obvious choice, though, and you have to admit we saw Lakin sweating when he got a reference.
That's because
he's haunted.
Yeah,
by Beard Dude.
Tamroth. Yeah, Tamroth is his kind of puppet master, but I think that actually makes him safer from Casigna, because I don't think Casigna would go after someone else's. Well, she wouldn't offer something to one of the other gods' champions. Like, she would probably try and kill him for sure, but I don't think she would try and get him as an ally.
Yeah, I don't have an obvious answer for this question, but I picked it because we haven't really seen a lot of betrayal, honestly, in our kind of characters' lives, right? Everyone they've kind of befriended has stuck with those friendships. I mean, obviously we saw the great betrayal with Nears' company, but like a direct betrayal of kind of the main characters we haven't seen. And of all the events, this feels like it's time.
Yeah, this is going forward after this also, with the gods being able to offer pretty much anything that you can ever want. This is the time where betrayal seems the most likely. And you're right, we really have not seen any major character betrayals from one point of view character to another point of view character that we know of. Obviously there was, as you said, Nears' company, but we didn't really know
we didn't really know him.
We didn't
Peric,
know him
I think it was. Peric or Peril or something.
I forget his exact name, but yeah.
It's like a P. But yeah, like this, like, I have no idea who it could be, but this does seem apt. So as you said, Mr. Europe thinks it's Chaldean, but I also think he's just gonna die. Almighty Nub says, hey, doesn't Eldavin pray to / is a servant of Kasinga specifically? That's yes, they are. Wovlu says Teriarch might run away. He's clearly terrified of death, which is a trait exemplified by Eldavin. Yeah, I think Terry might be hanging out at the mansion. I don't know if he's gonna get directly involved in this. Wiggles, did you want to say something?
Oh.
Okay. Almighty Nub says if Kasinga is sending ghosts from the Deadlands. Oh, I bet we see some undead dragons, which you commented on earlier. And then Action Kermit says they absolutely expect Eldavin to stick his hand in this. He's thoroughly on Team Caligma. I can't believe that joke got snuck into the chapter. I just, you must have been so happy with joy, Wiggles.
Oh yeah, I was ecstatic. It was the best.
Between you and Lynette with Nears' love confession.
It's a good chapter. Anyways, Edoron says he would never betray his people. He has done. And
betray his people?
Yeah, he would never betray his Chaldean. I mean Chaldean, he would never betray his people. He's done and sacrificed too much for them to betray the Drakes. I don't think.
Well, okay. So I don't
even
think
if he gets a deal like, yeah, we are gonna protect. I'm gonna spare all the Drakes. Blah blah blah. I don't think he would do that.
Really? I think that's up his alley. Chaldean is if he sees the tide is turning against him, and he sees that, and he gets a good deal. That's the other part about this question.
If he can pull Palace out, I think he would pull out if he can pull Palace out. Like if the deal is to protect Palace, he'll do it. I'll give you that.
But I think something that would surprise you is I think Chaldean sees Aaron and thinks he's he sees what he used to be, but I think you forget that he wants to be more like Aaron. He doesn't like himself. I think he wants to be a hero.
I totally agree with Sidehammer that his scheming self and his ways, he really doesn't like it.
Yeah, there is one part about this question though that is like, will Casigna offer these people these deals? She kind of does not think of mortals very highly, and it's kind of like, will she even care about giving them a deal? But anyways, Welwu says Kawine might betray Casigna. This is the feeling of the last stand, and that's apparently her thing. Not to mention she has a soul, the last elf, whispering in her ear. That's true. Kawine, yeah, but she also, I don't know. Kawine is definitely someone who's unpredictable. It's really hard to tell what exactly she's gonna do here.
It's gonna be Toadie, obviously.
Okay.
Guys, just no. All right. Almighty Nob says yes, but if Chaldine knows his death is imminent, he might pull a fast one and take down Veltras or someone with him. He knows he'll be hated, but that's better in the long run for Drakes. Totally agree with that. Sarah Bear says Chalding made a deal with Bellavere. Despite her attacking the restaurant couple, he will make a deal with Casigna. That's a good point. Razor Shark says, oh, hey, she also offered Perusa one. Also a good point. So Razor Shark, you want to talk a little bit more about that? And you said earlier that you're betting that she's not smart enough to use her army well?
Yes. I don't think she's smart enough to use her army back. I think that's one of the things that she's going to be dumb. She's going to focus on Aaron. That's going to give him a lot of opportunities, even if he's going to have like an overpowered army. Two, I have a different feeling about Chaldean than the rest of people here. I don't think Chaldean fears death. I think Chaldean feels his illness, right? He doesn't fear death itself. Like if Chaldean wasn't like just getting like Alzheimer's or something, just losing his memory, I think he'd be pretty sure. I don't think Chaldean wants to live that way. I really don't. The way fuck, I forgot her name. I was gonna say Anivia. And gave the potion to Chaldean so that he can live a long period of time. This was something that he was actively seeking out, trying to find all these different ways to cheat death. I would never heard just like I will not let you die until you accept me. So I think Chaldean will be offered a deal. I do not think he will take it. However, there is one character here in this story that's watching everything happen. What's her name? I'm forgetting her name. I'm sorry. The Cross. The Cross is a prime example of somebody who could do it. Her entire class, we don't know how it works. We know it has something to do with the souls of all the other Cross. She's been known to be on the wrong side of history before, multiple times. And she's been known to care about her people the most. Out of everything else, that's one of the main things. Now, this cross has been different than the cross previous to her, but it's always been noticed as more of a return to form of the cross instead of just a brand new version entirely. And I think the cross might be somebody that could pull a fast one and betray them. Even if she's not there, remember that Cassinial is gonna be fucking everywhere. Like if she sees the tides turning and before the solstice like goes away completely, I can see her doing that near the end.
You mean Salkus? The Bloodfish Raider?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Karas.
Yeah, but the thing with the Karas is she's
the chorus.
She's in Chandra right now, so even if she does side with Casigna, I don't know how it would affect the battle in Liscor exactly.
It doesn't need to. Yeah. Like I mean, I thought it was just like who would affect it. Like if there's going to be somebody for I don't think. Remember, this fight isn't a fight to win; it's a fight to survive. So I do not think any of the betrayals is going to be like an immediate one to kill everybody. I think what would happen is that they'll survive, obviously, right? And they're going to be pissed, right? Casigno. And she's going to start thinking of things and like getting actions while the solstice is over, while she doesn't have full control, even though I think she'll have way more control after this event. And the Karas is like a huge one to get on her side.
That's true, but we are talking a little bit more about immediate betrayals with this. But it is actually good to take the long game with this and have a thought. And the cross, actually, I would put right up there. I fully agree with you.
The question was again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I like your theories. I like them because I think you're right. I think that Chorus is a character to keep an eye on for potentially future. Like, where is she going to go with her loyalties? Let's see. Who was Mr. Europe? Europe.
Yeah, just to I don't see any of the characters, notable characters currently there, who are either as completely desperate as Fythia or as arrogantly refusing to die as Ildovin. I think the most likely case is that we're going to have a fake out betrayal from Chaldean. Like, we're going to have Chaldean's he's getting approached and he's getting the deal, and then he does some speech about, or does some Drakes don't run or whatever bullshit that Pirate likes to write very, and it's always good. If Pirate's listening to this, don't not do this because I said it. But that he's going to say something inspiring and then die from that. I don't see any of the characters have the same, Fythia makes sense because she's been around alone as a petrified dryad for thousands of years. It makes sense that she would fall to that and fall to the Casigna's deal, but I just don't see it in anyone else. Not a remotely major character anyway.
It'd actually be interesting if Corp ends up right. He's been dodging her for years, decades. It would be interesting if to keep dodging her if he does take a deal with her. Actually, now that you mentioned Fythia.
Yeah, but before this chapter, sure, I could see that. But with this chapter, with what he says to Eren, I don't see it either.
That's true. I guess I'm just thinking of shocking betrayals where it's but.
I do think having some betrayal would be interesting. I do think that would make it more interesting. That's kind of why.
Timely.
Yeah, that's kind of why I see someone doing the betrayal simply because I think it's interesting. Anyways,
Leonette betrays them and says,
no.
"I always thought of you as peasants."
Bad Mr. Europe. This is Leonette hate. I'm not listening to it. All right. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Europe.
Wiggles, do you want to pick the next one while I read out the remaining answers?
Sure.
Pat says they could see Carwine betraying, if only because she might get an even bigger war out of it later. That's true. Carwine could show up and betray her mother and throw the whole thing off. Almighty Nub says maybe Kasinga could see engaging the army as beneath her and just to delegate it to some level 80 ghost general she has. Or something, let the dogs fight while she deals the more important business. Possible, but as Eren says, she's trying to make this a really big deal to piss off Casigna that she makes it personal. So we'll have to see. And so far, the Dead Gods have not really shown any ability to think beyond immediate needs, even though they've got literally eons of experience. Razor Shark says they also guessed a Leonette betrayal, but wasn't confident on it. If she gets a deal for helping Mishra, could be an angle. Possible. But I feel like Leonette might see the forest for the trees, so to speak, where she might save Mishra in the immediate future, but she dooms.
Mersha.
Okay, Piskies.
I never said that ever. Anyways, Razor Shark says if she gets a deal for helping Mersha, it could be an angle. And I disagree strongly, in the strongest terms here, okay? Lionette is not going to betray anyone.
Aren't you supposed to be picking a question?
I have a question. I'm just reading the last things out. Mr. Europe says, and finally,
Which I was already doing.
Razor Shark says, or Mersha herself, last survivor, or only survivor. Okay.
Razor Shark? Can't bear anyone saying Lynette might be yeah.
I think Razor Shark has topped their Lionette hatred with Mersha hatred. This is just unacceptable. Completely unacceptable.
Mishra would never betray anyone except
She wouldn't.
for cookies.
Yeah, except for cookies, maybe. Yeah, probably.
Ishkar is not. You guys are just doing this to piss us off now.
Yeah.
Ishkar is not going to betray anyone.
Look at these chatters here. They're just so mean.
Okay, what's the next question?
Okay,
Jeez.
what are your death predictions for the solstice? Who is kicking it for sure? Okay, Razor Shark says Mersha. Razor Shark, I am going to ban you. Okay? Ban. Anyways.
Mishra has like the most. She has more plot protection armor than fucking like. All right, I'll go with this answer. My original prediction was Erin. I thought Erin was definitely going to kick it. It's been nice to have her back, and she's out to see her family, say goodbyes. And she's going to go off and do what we originally thought in Volume 8, where she'd be fighting the dead gods to kind of give the world time to try and prepare. And that kind of feels like the only role for her left, because she's just kind of almost feel like she's kind of outgrown in world currently. But with the rogue showing up and literally being like, I'm going to help you beat death because I'm going to take the death blow for you. That sent my theory kicking. So in terms of who's dying, I will go against the grain and say I think Chaldean's going to make it. His death flags are too obvious, but I think we are going to lose some favorites. I feel like some of the horns I think the horns are going to show up randomly, and I feel like some of the horns are going to go. I feel like we're going to lose maybe Ilvris. We're going to lose some fan favorites. Just who's going to hurt?
I think
who's going to hurt the most?
I got some herders here, okay? I think all of the half seekers except one are going to die. And I think that one is going to be Seaborn. Seaborn's going to live. All the rest of the half seekers are dead. Dead. I do think Chaldean is going to kick it. He's gone old and senile, and he's kind of outlived his usefulness for Palace. So Chaldean's going to kick it. Some Silver Fangs are going to kick it, probably.
I hope that. Oh, what's her name? The leader of the guards.
Takurt? No. Zavara?
No, the leader of the guards, Relk's boss.
Zavara.
Oh yeah. I think she might go, but I hope not.
Yeah, I don't see Zavara dying, but that would be a big kick.
Or Aslam. I feel like Aslam is gonna go.
Olasam might be one, yeah.
I feel like he's the death flag. All right, so we've got enough of our predictions in terms of herders. Other predictions are Wovu says Chaldean's probably going to die. They think the Otter Dog's family's mother will die. They kind of wish she just said that she had no intent to outlive her kids. Razor Shark says they agree. Sirius, their guess, if one of the horns has to go. They don't think Zebra will die, but you want her to? Oh, you guys are horrible tonight. Jeez. Sidehammer. Come on, shock us.
Pretty sure Parent's gonna die. I think she doesn't really have much of an arc going for her. Plus, we learned that a little more concretely that she's related to, or how she was raised by Filiana and Nears. So I think she's gonna die, unfortunately. I really don't want him to, but I think Ishtar doesn't have a lot going for him, narratively speaking. So he's on the chopping block. I think Chaldean is definitely going to go. But I don't think he'll do it betraying. I think he'll do it. He'll go out as a hero, not betraying, when he definitely could have. I think a number of Silver Fangs will go. Obviously, probably thousands of Drakes and humans. I think Tyrion actually has a chance, and Jarisha, and I don't think any of the kids have any flags. I'm not sure Pirate has killed many kids. But
well, there was the one kind of
all of Mersha's tribe. They had a bunch of kids in there.
And
but we didn't know that.
the baby, the fetuses that hadn't been born yet.
That's true, but we didn't meet them. We hadn't met them.
There was the pregnant innkeeper. We literally spent chapters with her and her. She was pregnant.
We didn't meet the kid.
Well, we met the parents.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyways. Yes, that was terrible. I agree. Anyways. I think a number of goblins are going to die, which is sad. Maybe fighter pilota, which is terrible. But I think we'll be losing a lot of the inn goblins. I don't think any of the horns. I think Syria's Dreamer class saves her. I'm sorry, Evelyn's Dreamer class saves her. Syria has a heel turn later on. I feel like Pisces is the actual hero's journey guy in this story, so he's not going to die. Guliver is on the block. He doesn't really have much more to offer narratively, at least right now. But I think he's too much of a fan favorite.
Well, but keep in mind that Pirate hasn't necessarily considered narrative potential when killing characters. Like plenty of characters with narrative potential have died in the past, so there is always that hesitance.
Oh, that's just my opinion.
No, it's valid.
I would be very disappointed if Norman died after all the stuff we've just been through.
Yeah,
I think some of the Crusaders, and I don't think Pawn is going to die, but I think some of the maybe a couple of the Order sources might die.
All right.
There's just a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters to go through, and I could just say name them. No, yes, no, yes. But yeah, that's what I think.
So I would say kind of going forward, like we know that there's going to potentially be mass soldiers that are going to go, but I would say maybe like pick your top 3 that you would think are on the chopping block. Mr. Europe.
Okay, I actually have a bet on this, so I've put my money where my mouth is. Chaldean aside, I don't think a single main character introduced before Volume 8 will die. Ooh. I think that either I or everyone else is taking crazy pills. I don't think we're going to get any major character deaths at all.
Okay, listen.
Wiggles, did you take this bet?
No, I haven't taken this. Well, did I take this bet? It might have been one of the bets.
No, that was UT.
Okay. Well, listen. So we all read the after chapter note and how Pirate Abbott said this was such a super difficult chapter, and this is all really difficult. And I was trying to think of why, because all of you guys were saying it was pretty great, and I don't think I've seen anyone say this was a stinker. Like Pirate Abbott seems to think is a stinker. But one thing Pirate Abbott does not like to do is kill characters. And if they're trying to do a big shakeup for the solstice, like a really big shakeup, and nothing's going to be the same afterwards, I think that kind of has to include quite a few character deaths. If it's just our characters getting through it again, that is more the same. It's not like that hasn't happened in the past before. So I think they're kind of agonizing over this particular volume and so much because it's hard for them to write about character death, and I see some major character deaths coming.
Can I just go back and comment on this?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. Like, I don't think Pirate does kill characters. The notable, the big major characters with charisma that have died was, we can name them. It's Calras, Saria, Olessim. They all died, and then they didn't. It was Rice and Sharphilt and Pyrite. They all died, and then Aaron, of course, died. And it's all of them and Kilbakich, yellow splatters.
Hunker.
That's I think the most. Then we have like characters who permanently died, which is like whatever the fuck name was the leader of the the Griffin Hunt before, whatever his name was.
It's so terrible.
His name was Ulrine. His name was Ulrine.
Come on, like the most significant character who's died in this entire story is Brunker, and he was like
what about
a minor
Zell?
character.
You people were shattered by the commander at the Rahir wall with that chapter. All right. We're not going to get into
two chapters.
And everyone was thrown by it because she became a fan favorite very quickly. All right, we're not going to name all the characters that have died because
chapters.
It didn't matter because it was an impact. All right, so let's keep moving. Sarah Bear.
Okay, we skip as you want. Okay, I'm going to agree a bit with. I'm going to agree a bit with Mr. Rupp. Sergeant aside and possibly the Half Seeker, except Seaborn. Yeah, I don't think that many that stuff will happen because, like Mr. Rupp said, Parataba doesn't kill that many character. We all knew that the village of the dead was supposed to be big, serious stuff where everybody was going to die. Never happened. Because of Paladin, Deus Ex Machina that saved everyone.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
There's the Neon Moon battle at the end of volume 8. The people that died are people that we don't really care that much in the length of things. Like Citrul, all I know about Citrul is he was a shaman and a dad. He was not really that developed. So and even the character Mr. Upset that died before, I don't think they were that developed either. Either those that died permanently. I mean, except Maviola. Maviola was probably the biggest one that was developed the most.
Yep. Yeah. Senseless character death. Oh man.
Maviola and Zell. Zell came back. Zell was came back and died 2 seconds after. so yeah, that maybe Tyrion. I can see maybe Tyrion dying, but I don't see it that much with the whole arc he's going through with Ryoka, his family, his new level, and all that stuff. Maybe maybe Bird, but we had too much of a game changer with the last chapter to be him.
All right, so we've go ahead.
But yeah, most of the predictions are really insane. I don't see some of them dying.
So we've got death flags on pretty much every named character, but then we also have people who don't think anyone's going to die, at least major names. Eduron, where do you come down on this?
I say Tyriak is gonna fucking die. It's about time that the big protector of the most powerful being in this group, who could have solved so many problems but didn't, is about to make his final last journey. We have his little arc where he is saying, now I'm gonna evolve myself, and I think when this story is has to have tension in the future, Teriak has to go, because otherwise we could have. I mean, now that he's involved again, it could have been just, why not let Teriak fix it? Why not let Teriak he must go. If characters
the one love interest of Ryoka.
Tyrion isn't immortal yet. Even if he's younger, he has to go to preserve the meme.
I mean Teriak, not Tyrion. The dragon.
Yeah, also a potential love interest of Ryoka.
What? No. That's Magnolia. Okay. All right. So that's my opinion. Everybody's expecting Chaldean. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, it would be sad, but it's also about time. And I think that again, some of the in staff really is gonna die. But my top predictions is again Tyriak and maybe Wisma.
All right. You guys are so we've moved past the point where everyone's like, "Don't kill anyone." There was too much character death in like Volume 5 and before, and now we're like, "Yeah, okay, people can go. It's all good. Like we're gonna miss them, but they can go." Please.
I mean,
All right.
Pirate does that. For example, she sent Relk away to nerf Lisco's defense because he was too strong. And now that Teriak is involved, he has to go.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, let's wrap this up, and then we're about an hour and a half in, so we'll do one final question after this, Wiggles, if you can choose it. And then I'll just finish reading the comments. Webluho says they hope Aaron dies again. Volume 8 was great.
Fuck.
Edron, you had your turn.
Yeah, but yes.
All I'm saying is that when Aaron was dead, the story was better. That's all I'm saying.
No, shut up! How dare you?
Corners. Almighty Nubs says, honestly, because Chaldean, besides Chaldean, part of them can't really see any major characters dying. We haven't seen a major character death in a long, long time, so part of them just thinks that there won't be many named deaths. They're torn. They expect a big character death, but at the same time, wouldn't be surprised if we don't get any. So 70-30 split between big deaths and then nothing major. And as they were saying, yes, the Silverfang kids kind of survived. I think some of them died, but some of them survived because Mishra did meet them at Nolmoot. Razor's Arc says top death flags for them are Chaldean, Ilveris, and Spearmaster Lulv. Hit list, Zivra, Pon, and Oslium, and then Zern is also a true possible death. Kanea says the recent romantic couples are a big target for drama, and killing one of them or both dying. Razor's Arc says they're not sure if Pirate is biggest fan of how many big plot moments panned out. Morchin says Relk and Kill will die, and Kill can't be resurrected because of the Kasinga event. Kill hiked out, chasing after his sword stealers, so only Relk's present. Kill isn't back. Razor Shark says, and if they take time, some characters here will die, and the big difference here is the theme, which is what Aaron said, who will be Legends of a New Era. So some will die to make way for the new world. They think Teriarch will go into the new era. Particularly because I think Teriarch, he died, and then he was resurrected with the scroll. So he's already had his death scene and come back. Mr. Europe says the most tragic death in the story so far is Crossbow Stand. Yes, I see the Zelv emote. I know what I said. So we all have our tragic death character moments. We'll see if there are more to come. Razor Shark says they also think that stakes are beyond Teriarch, that even he will have to reach new heights to combat. Almighty Nub says if Kasinga doesn't off Chaldean, Alzheimer's will finish him off in Volume 10. Honestly, they reckon Velk is a goner. Jeez. All right, Wiggles. Any last thoughts before we do one last question?
No last thoughts, but I do have a question picked. If you want to just go right into it.
You guys are dark.
They are dark. They're dark people.
Nobody took the position that nobody was going to die. And I tried to get you on that bet, Wiggles, and you said no.
Mr. Europe.
No, I said no one. I didn't say no. I said no soldiers, nobody. Nobody.
Oh. Okay, no, that's definitely... That's a terrible bet. Some soldiers are going to die.
Yeah, they're going to kill each other if someone doesn't kill them.
Yeah, someone's going to trip over a rock and kill themselves. Okay, one of them's going to die. It happens.
That is potential.
Anyways, Miss Europe says if they don't have names, fuck them. Wow. We're
if the solstice is a big nothing burger and nothing happens, there's a whole bunch of people that are grumpy at each other. Somebody's dying.
Yeah, exactly. So Okay, Asteria, I'll take that bet.
can't-
I'll take that bet. You have
Will
to
you?
give me
Now
your you have to give me name permissions for you for 20 years, okay?
No. The last time it was 10, and I said 3 months.
200 years now. Okay.
We're not
Let's
good.
go to the last question. Almighty Nub says, in response to Mr. Europe saying, fuck him for anyone without names, Almighty Nub says, the kids too. Wow.
All
Just
right,
chat.
Wiggles, everyone heard. You accepted the deal. 3 months, name change. Nobody dies versus somebody dies. Done.
Okay. If you really want me to have control of your name for 3 months.
Well, we said it was a class.
Class, yes. Anyways, let's get to the final question. Can Mersha inherit the Garden of Sanctuary? Inheritance skills exist, but will this system respect the will, or will it do it because it is Aaron? So
No.
I do think Mersha, if Aaron dies, Mersha will eventually get the Garden of Sanctuary. She will get it,
She
when
just doesn't meet the requirements.
I disagree. I think she, listen, Asteria, when the system wait, I just almost spoiled something. I'm sorry. I almost spoiled something. It's good I stopped myself right there. Okay, never mind. We'll talk about that later.
Really?
Okay. That
Where's
was a close call.
what
That was a
level of
close call.
spoiler is that? Or is this editing privileges?
It relates to Thursday's stream. If you were watching Thursday's stream, you know what I'm talking. You might be able to piece together what I was about to say. But anyways, Mersha definitely meets the requirements for this, I think. She wants to protect people. She's an ember bearer for Aaron too. She matches this. I really do think so, but it's a high level skill. She doesn't meet the level requirements yet. I think once she gets to level 30 or level 20 or something, she could get it. Yes, for sure.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, definitely Aaron asking for the skill to be passed on to a specific person potentially plays a role. But I'm sure other Garden of Sanctuary holders also asked, and that didn't happen. So
I do think it's not 100% if you say this person gets it that gets it. But I do think Aaron understands Mersha well, and she understands the garden well. And if her blessing is something that will matter a lot.
Why do you think Mersha or Mishra rather than like Rags or Ryoka? Or not Ryoka, she doesn't have skills, but
Rags might fit it, but she's not as focused on remembering all the people who have come before,
But that's an Aaron thing. That's not like you're not guaranteed to get that with getting the garden. The garden shapes itself to its particular user.
I just think it fits Mersha more than it fits Rags, honestly. Though Rags would be a good one to give it to. I just don't think it fits perfectly. That's all.
Or Relk. Man.
Not Relk. Not Relk. Relk would not fit at all. Relk would no.
I could still in his new form. I feel like he fits.
I don't think so. Just it doesn't fit. It's a square.
Mm-hmm.
It's a square rectangle shape in a narrow little hole.
Well, if Mishra does get this Garden of Sanctuary skill, I am betting on a time skip. Like this feels like a moment right for a time skip.
Let's just say it's not going to happen. Like this is all super theoretical because Aaron's not going to die. We all know it. Aaron is 100% alive.
This is actually a potential, like, Mishra becomes the next main character of the Wandering Inn. Aaron's off fighting the battle in the Deadlands, and we time skip to the future when Mishra is an adult.
This is Volume 10 is the actual second half of the story. This was all the first half.
Yeah, and then we do a time skip to like 10 years in the future.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be too against it, except Aaron would have to die. And I would not like to see Aaron dying. So
there we go. That's the big reveal. It's a time skip. That's what's coming. All right. Almighty Nug.
What?
I was gonna
Asteria,
read off.
what? Why do you skip our
I'm
beautiful
always getting
voices?
skipped. She doesn't like me. I know it. She doesn't like me.
It's so rude. We should
It's
kick
not
Asteria
rude.
off.
It's following the conversation, and then you go to the speakers who can then react to what's been read. Because the written part.
We'll do nubs first. All the
Then
Mighty
read out what
Nub
it
says the system will argue with itself for half a chapter, then say fuck it all and give Mersha a skill. Yeah. Mersha is supreme.
And then Almighty Nubs also says she'll get a planter box of Sanctuary.
A planter box of Sanctuary? What?
Don't know.
I don't know how that will work. Webwu says the garden seems to favor people who remember the lost. The Dolahan had his carvings. Aaron has her statues. The martial artists would fight copies of his people from Pumley. And Mr. Europe says the Mersha 10-year time skip was canon. Super canon.
Oh, yeah, that like April Fool's chapter from way back when.
It wasn't April Fool's. It was, there was poll betting and stuff. And if something happened, Pirate Abba would release a chapter, and one of those chapters was something to do with Mersha, and that was the result.
Of course it was. All right, Ed, you're on. Now you're up.
Thank you. I don't think that we don't like I think like Mr. Wiggles said, we don't even have to like really talk about it because Erin is not gonna die. She's the flagship of this series. The story just got way too depressing without Erin, and it's not gonna happen again. And in the theoretical way, I think it would be possible to inherit this skill. Maybe slight weaker version than it is right now, but it will be it should be getting stronger with more levels. And Mersha is the perfect person to inherit it. I don't think Rex cares about her the whole race, and not just like a few individuals like Aaron and Mersha start doing. It's a big difference, I think. And yeah, it's not gonna happen that she's gonna die. And I just wanted to say one other thing. I love you two as hosts. It's hilarious. Just you two are doing all like always a really great job. Funny as hell listening to you two. Bigger like two married people.
Asteria's a stinker. Okay.
Maybe.
What was that for? What was that for?
Nothing. I don't know. That was a really random thing to say, Adirond. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, in German we have a Sprichwort, was ich lieb, das neckt sich. I'm not sure how to like people who like tease and argue with each other are secretly in love.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
I'm shipping.
Right. You guys, we have clearly not had enough romance in the Wandering Inn that you guys are starting to project it onto real life now. So
it's a real issue here.
Pirate, when you hear this, there needs to be more love scenes in the Wandering Inn.
In Shakespeare, it's called "Methinks she doth protest much."
Oh, jeez. You guys need
Asteria?
another MR. You need a Mating Rituals 3 chapter.
We can't ban all of them.
I have
still my name.
We can't.
It's
But
still
then
my
we'd
name.
have nobody to talk to next time.
We could just
I'm
talk
waiting
ourselves.
for
It's fine.
Mating Rituals 3. Just
All right.
waiting for it.
Everyone, shut up. We're moving on. Sir Bear, you wanted to speak.
Oh boy. I think this is if Aaron die, obviously it's not going to happen. But if she die, I think the system will give it to Marsha for two reasons. Obviously, first reason, it's been a while since I read the Shimmer chapter. The system has a debt for with Aaron. She felt Aaron didn't get the XP, she didn't get all the level, and all of that. So if Aaron dies, the system will be like, Wait, but I have a debt. How do I fulfill that debt? I can respect the will. I can do that. Yeah. It will work. The system will agree about that. And the second is because Marsha is really Aaron's heir. She's more Aaron's skin than Lion's skin, because with the Ember Bearer class that Marsha got in volume 8, without the fact that Marsha became a mini Aaron by annoying people, doing stuff, being a figure that stands against stuff that is wrong. In volume 7, Marsha stand against the shield spider and the wall in to protect the beaver. She, she in volume 5 she fought the Creator, and obviously there's the old Western arc where Marsha fought her trauma a bit to provoke Snatcher. So yeah, I think it's very extremely likely that Marsha gets the garden if Aaron dies.
Good points. I agree with you. I think it's just very likely. It would happen. I do agree. All right, let me read some of these comments. Almighty Nub says Mersha isn't high enough levels, so she can't get to the garden. If she can't have a garden, she can have a planter box. Okay, I get what you meant now. Almighty Nub says also the Lucifen, who had a bunch of stuff relating to Hellsteel origins, in reply to Wovlu. Mr. Europe says Mersha will get the garden because Aaron X Sissy Baka is the one true partner.
Pair. One true pair. Who's Sissy?
The system. Green design.
Oh, I thought it was System Chop. You guys keep making up nicknames.
Yeah, well, we just change name every other day. It's fine.
Pretty much. 50/50 says, all right, let's not kill Aaron. And that brings us to Razor Shark.
Okay, so I think if Aaron does die, there's a possibility that he can eventually mark him in the future. I don't even think if Marsha had the correct number of levels to gain the Garden Sanctuary, that she would have the right mindset to get the Garden Sanctuary. And here's the reason why. I think we've all pointed out, different aspects of the Garden Sanctuary, where she was protecting people and keeping people safe. I think the difference is, and for me, is most of those people were leaders. Marsha included. Empress Shada, who founded the school, was an empress. Most of the people that we've seen or had who've had a garden were leaders in their own way, trying to not just protect a few people, but essentially a nation. Even the strongest at the time, when he had his was envisioning a place to train martial artists, but also an independent and safe place to train martial arts. Not completely safe, but you know what I mean. Which he eventually created in Popple. So I feel like Marshall would have to change as a person pretty much to gain the skill, because it isn't enough to just care and want to protect your people, which Marshall wants to do. Aaron, even when she got the skill, has always been in this, has grown into this leadership type of mentality. It's something that she's been noted as since the beginning of the story. It's been noted that she could be an empress above all others. And I think that mindset to lead, protect people, a lot of people, is what gives it a class. It's more than just that. It's also something that's noted for being really important for rulers in general, right? One of the things that's mentioned is it's a great panic skill for rulers. One of the things that is known for. So I'm not saying she can't get it with the mindset she has now. If Aaron were to die, I think it would require a slight change in persona. That's why I think that Rags is a good person that would get the skill, because Rags, even though isn't overtly as Marsha is on protecting people, one of the main things for Goblin is finding a place to stay, to hope to change, to have a sanctuary to themselves. And she's a leader. She's a chieftain. She's growing into chieftains that she doesn't know how to be, whether to go the Great Chieftain route or the Goblin Lord, Goblin King route, which is what I'm saying. And Rags would be a great fit for that, more than Ryoko would at this point in the story with the information we have on their personalities. Now, that's all subject to change. Marcia could change drastically or even subtly enough that it would fit her. But I think that leadership and their people is something important. And we see that now with Eren more than ever before. Because even though Eren's always been about protecting her people, and she's very particular about who get in the sanctuary, she's leading people like a queen. And we see that in this chapter, right? Even though she wasn't like that when she got the skill immediately, there's a notion to be said by the system, which is foreshadowing is important. Eren, during the this point in the story specifically, she's positioning herself as the queen. She even states it in the chapter. She's accepted herself her role as if she's the queen on the chessboard board and the queen in its entirety. She's trying to rally her troops in a dark moment with a serious thought. So I feel like that all leads into the type of person that would get the Garden Sanctuary and how powerful. Yeah.
That's a good point. And the system definitely listens to Eren, I think, for all the points that you kind of mentioned with describing her. And so, yeah, I think you make a good case. Almighty Nub says, where are all these clowns who think Eren's going to die? Surely no one actually thinks that. Stare Bear says Mishra is a leader, as they said earlier. Kanea says there's a chance of Eren dying, but the system saving her and bringing her back, maybe in a similar way to Halrak, where she disappeared. 50/50 says, does it feel like even discussing it makes the possibility aware of us? What? I'm not sure what you mean by that, 50/50.
Possibility of Eren's death.
Oh, kind of like that gobbledygook thing that got mentioned earlier in the chapter.
Mimetic threats? Mimetic? I don't know how to
No,
say
the monster that Halrak mentioned.
Monster. What was
Do you think
his
that's
name?
that thing that Ryoko ran into, and that the courtesan was like, "This, don't kill these people."
No, that's a doppelganger. This is Bogglrooms are different. It sounds like Boggle Realms. Weird name. Anyways, no, doppelgangers are mimics. They just take on everyone else's appearance. These are different in that they just kill you if you know about them. Like they automatically.
Wait. Totally. So the Bulgrim things, if they know that you know about them, they know how to kill you, right? Or they seek
they
you
know
out
your
to kill
greatest weakness, and they want to kill you.
If they learn about the gods, or the gods learn about them, could they kill the gods?
Okay, no. Okay, how? I'm sure if they learned about the god's greatest weakness, it'll be like they're arrogant. That doesn't suddenly mean a Bogglrom can go and kill a god.
Just saying.
Okay, yeah, super good thought, Asteria. I'm glad you brought it up. It was worth considering, but we moved past it.
If that ends up being the way that one of the dead gods dies, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I feel like that's
if it happens, you can choose my class for years. Okay, for the rest of time, you can choose my class.
Just saying.
Mr. Europe says, yeah, they can lure the gods into a cave and roll a boulder in front of it. Oh yeah, sure, that'll work.
They could lure the gods into one of the gnome's traps that's lying around.
Okay, that might actually work. Whatever.
Before the end of the podcast, I have a final thought to add.
Yes.
I have to say, I have to push forward my Eren as a queen campaign, because she even called herself a queen in this very chapter. It was abstract, but it happened. So, Eren will be queen of the story.
Never going to happen.
Yes, it will. So will the portal cannon. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this discussion chapter.
All right. Wiggles.
We love you.
final thoughts.
I'll just read off the last things. Almighty Dove says they'll just learn that literally everyone has to believe the gods are good. And the Mystery Ape says, Yas, Aaron Slay. And Edoron, you had one final 3-sentence and max.
3-sentence. I wonder when
10
Aaron is
seconds.
gonna behave like an innkeeper again and not like a general. And she doesn't deserve to get a level in innkeeper when she's not doing innkeeper things. So
I disagree, but we're not going to talk about it. This has been 9.62 after chapter discussion. It's been a long one. It's almost 2 hours. Oh crap!
Full of crack theories.
Whoops.
To honor Quilly.
Almost 2 hours. I feel bad.
I don't have to edit these anymore. It's all Lanu.
Poor Lanu. All right. Anyways, this was
sorry, Lanu.
This was a fun chat. I think we all loved the chapter. Paradada, if you listen to this, you did good on the chapter. No, you did great on the chapter. Don't be so hard on yourself.
For the discussion.
Anyways, goodbye.